All right, so the largest delegation of Israeli CEOs, over 100 of them, are here in India, led by the Economy and Trade Minister of Israel, who's kindly agreed to come and join us on this podcast here on CNN News 18 at Brass Tacks. Mr. Nir Barkat, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Zaka.
So let's start with, what are 100 Israeli CEOs doing in India, and what are you doing leading them here in India? You have a war to catch up on.
Well, it's interesting. I was here in December meeting His Excellency, my friend, Minister Piyush Goyal, and we talked about the opportunities and mutual threats we have between India and Israel, the geopolitics, and we thought that the best thing to do to increase the collaboration between the two countries, that I bring a mission here, and then he will bring a mission to Israel, and we will get the two businesses collaborating more together. I'm very happy with the delegation that we brought here. It's by far the largest ever delegation leaving Israel, and it's to India. The people that we brought are CEOs in health tech, in agro tech, in defense, in advanced industry, things that are interesting both for Israel and India. I have to say that I see India as the next big thing. I think that India of tomorrow is not just a big local marketplace, it's a regional and actually international global hub. A classic for Israeli joint ventures. So we excel in innovation. We need the skills and the collaboration and the partnership of scale and large cost-effective thinking. And what we found is that it's 1 + 1 = 10.
Okay, so it's scalable, it's multifold scalable in that sense.
Certainly, and for us it's difficult to grasp. We are less than 10 million people. To understand 1.4 billion people is something huge for Israelis, and it's a big opportunity looking into the future.
So when you speak to Indian CEOs, and I'm sure your delegation has spoken to Indian CEOs, and I'm sure one of the questions that does pop up is, how do we do business with an active war going on? What do you say to them?
We never, Israeli technology never lost a day of delivery. We had, unfortunately, rounds of violence in our region, but you see that our companies that do export, that do a lot of collaboration globally, you don't feel it because we know how to deliver. As a matter of fact, it's actually the opposite. When we have a round of violence, immediately after that, there's a spike of innovation because, we're dealing with new challenges, and every round of violence is different. Now, understanding how to counter terror, how to beat terror, it's not just an Israeli challenge, it's also an Indian challenge, and many countries around the world asking us, how we're doing it. It's like what works in Israel is interesting around the globe for countries that need to defend themselves against terror. And then innovation goes to other areas as well. It's not just on security and homeland security and defense and offense. People ask us about the beeper operation. Very inspiring, and people understand that we really know how to think out of the box. We know our stuff. And for Israelis, what's interesting in India is two very important things. First of all, really good people to people.
Yeah.
Israelis love to travel, love to be in India. My daughter met her boyfriend, her beloved husband, here in India.
Oh, wow.
When they were both sort of post-army.
Backpacking through India.
And they love being in India. The second thing, which I think is very valuable, is the really strong relationship between Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Netanyahu. Yeah. So we have really good government-to-government relationship. Today, Minister Piyush Goyal is a friend. We know how to get along on a personal level. These are things that are very important. So when there's good government to government and good people to people, businesses follow. And I believe India offers an amazing opportunity into the future. I see the growth of India, and I see the thinking, the smart thinking of the government, and I see the collaboration in the business communities. It's really a great opportunity for Israeli entrepreneurs.
One of the big announcements, and it's been a while since it was announced, was IMEC, the India, Middle East, Europe corridor. Clearly, that's been pushed back because of the ongoing war. What is your sense of a timeline as to when we can get the focus back on this corridor, which is critical? It is as critical for India as it is for Israel?
I'll tell you a secret. We're working on it independently on the leg of Israel. I mean, the corridor will go from India through Saudi Arabia, hopefully when they join the Abraham Accords, through Jordan. Then there's a gateway in Bet Shean, one of the cities to the east, and Haifa port to Europe. So we're working and planning our part. And hopefully once there's the Abraham Accords will expand, I believe it will be the time to connect all the relevant pieces and make them work. Because that corridor is more just, it's beyond just a corridor. Mm-hmm. It means collaboration. Yeah. It means that we all understand that we want to have more business done between Europe and Asia. And certainly India is a major player there. We're going to give our share of the pie, and hopefully the expansion of the Abraham Accord with Saudi Arabia will be faster. Because we need it. We're waiting for it.
Is there a sort of visible timeline that the government of Israel is looking at where things are to a degree of normalcy, where you can talk about connectivity, you can talk about business and normal resumption of trade and commerce and stuff like that? What is your assessment?
I think that everyone understands that Israel we're unfortunately had a tough time October 7th. The atrocities and what happened to us is a blow. It's tough to see the murders, the beheadings, the taking hostages from their beds with pajamas, putting children in the oven, rapes, and we still have 76 hostages in dungeons and underneath the ground. And you just saw pictures last weekend of the 3 men that were released. It's just so terrible. So it's not over, but everyone understands that we're in the upper hand. Mm-hmm. And everyone understands that Hamas will not survive the war. We will never allow Hamas to redo Gaza the way it was, which is terror infrastructure as part of the civil infrastructure. We are seeking to have partners that are willing to sign the Abraham Accords. And I'm telling you that the model, which I believe in, is not a Palestinian state, but the Emirates, the Palestinian Emirate model, which is fundamentally based on tribes and families, strong families, like the Emirates, like the United Emirates, and maybe even like the Saudis. It's autocracies, it's tribal-based concepts. And I believe this will work. They will join the Abraham Accords. If you have a number of families and a couple of cities in the region that are willing to collaborate with Israel and expand the Abraham Accord, that's real peace. That recognize Israel, they're willing to do 1 + 1 = 3. Mm-hmm. Because when we have to decide what do we want around us with the Palestinians, is it Gaza or Dubai? I think the answer is clear. And once people are willing to collaborate and join the Abraham Accord, and I believe it can happen, then you'll really have peace with at least some of our neighbors.
So how does that speak to, it's similar to what President Trump said recently, that he wants to make Gaza into the riviera of the Middle East. So this idea of a Palestinian Emirate, how does that coincide?
It's different. It's different. Trump is focusing on what to do with Gaza, and I'm talking about what do you do with other cities in Judea and Samaria, in the West Bank. And we are discussing with some of them. They really want to collaborate, not all of them, not the Palestinian Authority, but some of the deep families in the region are seeking to work with us and be successful. So, but when we talk about global business, it's a totally different. As we know how to do global business, regardless if there is violence in the region and there's peace. Of course, we want peace in the region. That's not the question. Yeah. And I think also Israel demonstrated. We have 40 years peace with Egypt, 25 years with Jordan, over 4 years with the Abraham Accords. So once somebody wants to have peace with Israel, we know how to give the hand and make it happen. We also know how to fight and win terror, we have excellent defense. We also have really good offense. I honestly believe that while we're combating with 7 fronts, we know how to do export, we know how to do partnership, the mission that we just brought. People are really excited, lots of connections, lots of contacts, very optimistic.
Can you shed some light on, so there were some concerns by the Indian government as well about the number of people who've gone to Israel after the war began, Indians who had gone there, mostly in construction and labor. There's what, 10, 15,000 of them? What is their condition? And once this war subsides, are you looking at more Indian sort of workers coming there and working in Israel?
Yeah, even before the war, I'm a big supporter of getting more labor from around the world, from friendly countries.
Okay.
And from my perspective, especially after the war, we saw that unfortunately Palestinians that got permits to work in Israel were part of the atrocities of October 7. So we don't want anybody entering Israel that gets $4,000 a month to kill Israelis. We don't want that. We want to see friends around the world, and the Indian people that work in Israel have really good reputation. I know some of them. They're happy. We take care of them. They're like family. A lot of them work in welfare and elderly care, and some in constructions. And you know, we could handle 200,000, 300,000 labor from across the world, and India has a really good reputation. We need to sort out a lot of technicalities internally in Israel, but we love the Indians coming to work in Israel.
So you're here with the biggest ever Israeli delegation. I believe later this year there'll be a delegation from India.
Yes,
that'll
indeed.
be coming to Israel. So give us some breaking news. When is that visit expected? I believe the Prime Minister is also looking at a visit to Israel.
Well, first of all, Minister Piyush Goyal is preparing to come to Israel. We've discussed this, and I think we have a lot to offer. Israel is really good at core technologies. And what I've learned is that the Indians are really, really good at complementing that technology and helping it find customers and scale and making really cost-effective businesses. This is classic complementary skills. And so I think that there's high interest on both sides on how to make this happen. And it's probably going to be sometime in mid-year, maybe earlier, plus minus. And we're really, really open to serve. Now, what we've done on the Israeli side is map out. We have 10,000 startups.
Yeah.
A huge amount of startups in the different areas of health tech, 1,600 health tech companies. It's an absolute number, second to the US alone. You got 500 security companies. And you have 750 companies in what we call agro-tech, food tech, and another 150 companies in aquatech.
Yeah.
So these are fabulous entrepreneurs seeking to find partners around the world. And because we're so tiny, only less than 10 million people, we, on the get-go, need partners globally. So a lot of our partners are in the United States. And I believe that you're going to find a lot of companies collaborating now with India because of your plans into the future. And I hedge, when people ask me in Israel, I'm hedging on India. I believe they're really good partners, really good personal relationships between the prime ministers and between the ministers of economy. And I see more and more business that we're going to do together.
Thank you so much.